done. Sitting with me here as always, Andy Jardine.
Yo, how's it going?
Very good.
Awesome.
Andy, Season 2, Episode 10.
Yep.
FDS, CFL. We're talking some Canadian football tonight.
Of course, man. The season's been very interesting. Non-stop excitement and a few unexpected twists.
All I can tell you is my power rankings are leaping all over the place, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
There's some heavy movement, yep.
Week 3 was crazy. I don't know if I'm in a huge excitement to talk about my record for week 3, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, your picks were a little shaky, but you know what? As always, guys, no matter what day of the week it is, if you need a beer, you need to go get yourself a Moosehead product, whether it's Moose Light or Moose Pale Ale, which we're enjoying tonight.
This stuff is scary good. I'm trying to get it in the camera.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, there you go.
Super scary good.
Scary good.
If you need shirts like this with a big, nice logo on it, you got to go see our buddies here in Moncton, the Doyle's Corporate Image.
Doyle's rule.
Hey, this is interesting.
We switched it up. We switched it up.
Let's see how you do here.
All right.
Now, if your kitchen sucks, what do you do, Ray?
You quit your bitching and you fix that kitchen. Go get yourself some Done Right sauce.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this week now. This is interesting.
This is crazy what just happened.
Yeah, so we were getting ready to do the show, guys, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, we got a text from a buddy of ours that said, listen, I'm on my way home and would love to give you guys a call now, so why don't we do that?
Why don't we do that? We accepted right away. We went in. Much like a hockey team, we had to go on the fly. We had to make a bunch of changes. Our roadies aren't here tonight, and we did it all ourselves. But we got something exciting to bring to you guys tonight, and that is our one and only buddy, number 7,
Trevor Harris. And I like
Trevor Harris.
I like to think we have more than just that one buddy, but he's one of our favorites. That's for sure.
He's one of our favorites.
Check out this phone call, guys.
Here we go. All right, guys, we have a special quick phone call here that came in to us out of the blue, and that is the one and only number 7, Trevor Harris from the Ottawa RedBlacks. How's it going, Trevor?
I'm great. How about you guys? You guys doing good?
Doing fantastic here in Moncton. It's a little hot here tonight, a little muggy.
Yeah, doing great. And let's set the record straight here. Let's not make our listeners think that Trevor Harris just from time to time gives us a call out of the blue. We requested this.
Yeah, we may have requested it.
Yeah, let's be honest now.
But, I mean, we didn't have to go through an agent to request it. I think that's pretty special.
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So
I'm going to just start calling you guys randomly now.
You can whenever you want.
Not a problem.
Whenever you want. So, Trevor, we're 3 weeks into the season, 2 weeks for the RedBlacks. You guys are 1-1 into the season. Now, I got to tell you, that first game that you guys played at home against the Rough Riders, your home opener of the year, you guys looked absolutely fantastic, not just from an offensive standpoint, but your defense played unbelievable in that game. What can you tell me about the season so far?
I really like this team. We have a lot of really good players that are veterans that know this league. We have some continuity on offense, and last week we had a struggle, but, I mean, if you go across the league, you're going to find that every team has a week or two where they struggle in 18 games. They're pro defenses, and, sometimes they come up with a good game plan and they win, and sometimes the offense just doesn't quite execute the game plan well. And it's early in the season as well. Defenses are typically ahead of offenses at this point. So, I'm happy with where we are. I'm never satisfied, but I really believe in this team, and I think we have a lot of great players. And not only that, we have great guys on this team that are going to pull through tough times. We don't have a character issue where if stuff's going awry, that all of a sudden we're going to just start throwing billboard material out there and getting in arguments. We have good guys on the team. We're solid, and I feel good about who we are and who we're becoming.
Great. Listen, Trevor, we were very excited to see you out there that first week, looking really limber and everything. We were a little worried about the injury, or at least the what appeared to be an injury that happened in the preseason. How you feeling? You at 100%?
I'm getting close. It's I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it's getting close, and one of those things where I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm not satisfied, but I'm working, around the clock still to this day, trying to make sure that I'm as healthy as I can be going into a game, because that was a big focus of my off-season training was, getting some limberness and agility to my game so that I could add that dimension and help out our team by extending some drives with my legs, extending plays by moving in the pocket, and putting a little bit of pressure on the defense using my feet.
Great.
Trevor, so the Calgary game. So you only had one preseason game because of the injury. And it was, you might have had a couple, 3 quarters? It was 3 quarters that you played in that game when you came out. To go into that Calgary game last week, I mean, you're on the road against a tough team in a tough stadium. When you go into that game, not playing the 2 preseason games, did that have an impact of playing that first road game of the year?
No, I wouldn't say that it was rust. I think they had a good game plan defensively. They played well. I didn't quite play well enough. We didn't protect well enough. We didn't run good enough routes. We didn't sustain drives well enough. We didn't put points on the board, capitalize on opportunities. We made too many mistakes. Just across the board, we weren't good enough. And I think that's kind of the mark of quality human beings, quality players, and people that want to get better, is that we can look in the mirror and say, not make excuses, just understand that, hey, that's not us. That's not the way that we're going to play this year. You see it on film, and we know that we're going to go out there and execute better this week. And so we're excited about the opportunity to come out and hopefully rectify our play from last week and hopefully go out there and get an Eastern win, because it's a 4-point game, as we know, with it being an East versus East team.
Well, listen, I'm your biggest fan here in Atlantic Canada. I'm telling everybody they should be picking Ottawa every week to win. And I keep telling everybody they should be picking Ottawa to come out of the East. When I look at your set of receivers, and I mean, don't forget William Powell out of the backfield. Your wide receivers, you have got some awesome targets to throw to. But the one catch I want to talk about, because I mean, it was an unbelievable catch. In that first game against Saskatchewan, you threw a 42-yard bomb, and Noel Thomas just reached out. I mean, he dove and reached out fully for that ball rather than give up on it. How satisfying. Can you walk me through that as a quarterback, seeing that ball go in flight and seeing your guy reach out and make that play for you?
Sure. It was actually a play where we had a bad look for a play that we had on. So we actually checked out of a play into a play where we could kind of let Noel go deep and throw him a jump ball. And he ended up getting behind the defense, and I laid it out there, and he made a phenomenal catch. And, that's not something that is abnormal for us to see out of Noel. He's a guy that we really feel can step his game up and be an impact player on our team and in this league. And we're going to be expecting big things from him during this season, and hopefully he can continue to grow. And the funny thing was when he came back from on the sideline on that, he's like, "Man, am I just slow?" And I was like, "Nah, bro, that was just a great catch. I maybe just threw it a half a yard too far." And so he's a humble and a hungry guy. He's a good human being, and I'm just fortunate that we have him, and hopefully he can continue to press his ceiling higher and higher.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Well, we know you got to get home to the wife and kids, Trevor. You got Montreal coming up this weekend or on Friday, and they're fresh off a win, so they've got a little bit of momentum going for them. So we'll be rooting for you. We can't wait to watch the game, and we're going to be there on the 20th to see you host BC, and we can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to.
Beautiful. Make sure, you guys let me know when you guys are in town. We'll stop and get a coffee or something.
Awesome. We definitely look forward to getting a chance to meet you there, and I can't wait to see my first RedBlacks home game. That will be fantastic.
That'd be awesome, man. Yeah, looking forward to it for you.
All right. Thanks again for calling in, Trevor. Yep. We can't wait to talk to you again down the road.
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother.
Good luck Friday.
Bye.
See ya. 3.
All right, guys, there you go. That's Trevor Harris, number 7, Ottawa RedBlacks.
Very nice of Trevor to give us a call when he was on his way between, I assume, practice and heading home to see the wife and kids. So that was awesome.
Well, practice actually ended a few hours ago. He's putting in extra work in film room because he's the first one in and the last one out. Trevor Harris.
Absolute last one out.
Last one out.
Yeah, he even goes back after he was the last one out, so he could be the last one out again.
He fakes them all out, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because a couple of the guys, they have competitions. He goes out to the car, circles the block, goes back in for game review.
There we go.
I mean, the guy's a genius.
You want to run through the games last week?
Let's talk about the games now. You heard me sheepishly ask Trevor about the Calgary game.
Yeah.
I might have been a little tough on my power rankings over it, but it was a tough game for both teams in the first half. Both offenses weren't moving the ball. It was a really tough game to watch, I found.
Yeah.
And Calgary ended up taking this game in the second half, but I'll be honest with you, Andy, I was sound asleep due to that first half.
Yeah, it was not an exciting game at all. Things didn't start out well at all for Ottawa. The story, and just, Calgary ended up taking this game 24-14. It was maybe a little bit closer than that sounds, but not so much. The second half, Calgary really started dominating. How can I put it? What you always hear is that Calgary and the RedBlacks match up so well, and they do. Just on this particular night, Calgary won almost every matchup. That's really all it came down to.
Well, in the first half, nobody was winning anything. But
yeah.
But what I did see, when I watched the PVR version the second day, I was fast forwarding through it. That's the problem I saw before getting out of bed that the RedBlacks had lost, so I kind of fast forward through the game. But yeah, you know what? It just wasn't the Ottawa RedBlacks week. I took into a fact that this is really only their second game of the season, and going into Calgary is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
I'm giving them a pass on the week.
Yeah.
Giving them a pass.
Fair enough. And really quickly before we move on, what did you think about that hit that got the guy suspended? For whatever reason, his name is escaping me right now.
Yeah, it's the middle linebacker.
Yeah.
For Ottawa. Listen, he left his feet.
Yeah.
When you leave your feet now and head-to-head contact is made, that's a major foul now.
Yep.
In amateur football, it's 25 yards and an automatic ejection out of the game. And it's a very tough call to make. Listen, a lot of referees are going to take some bashing over these calls this year, but it's about player safety, folks.
Yep.
It's about player safety. And I know those ones are going to hurt your team from time to time, but you have to look at the greater picture what some of these guys are dealing with in their post careers due to CTE. There you go.
Yes, sir. All right, let's move to the next game. Now, right before this next game happened, I sent a tweet out saying, finally, a CFL game where we will actually make it to the second half before it's tomorrow already here in the Maritimes.
I know.
Was pretty excited about that. This one started at 8 o'clock our time. Hamilton hosted the Blue Bombers, Hamilton's home opener, and handled business 31-17, much to my joy.
Yeah, you must have loved this one.
Absolutely. What a fun game to watch. Jeremiah Masoli, which, teaser here for our power rankings discussion later, but I think he could be the most outstanding player so far through only 3 weeks, but another amazing game, 31 for 41, 369 yards, a touchdown and a pick. The pick wasn't necessarily his fault. The receiver sort of slipped and he was just taking a chance. 75.6% of his passes. He just needs 300 yards in this next game against the Rough Riders, Ray, and he ties the CFL record for the most consecutive 300-yard games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, going into last year, they took care of Winnipeg. The Strevler Magic kind of calmed down a little bit here. No touchdown, 17 for 30, 56% of his passes. And he ran for 55 yards and a touchdown, which is pretty good, but Hamilton's defense is all about daring you to beat them long, and they dared him to beat them long, and he didn't. And in doing that, they allowed themselves to have a little extra coverage to make sure that they kept Strevler under control and not have a 100-yard rushing game like he pulled off the week before. So that was an excellent game.
Here's the interesting thing about the Ticats, and a lot of stuff that we heard in the preseason coming up to the start of the season is. The Ticats, a lot of people have been talking about Johnny, but they kept talking about how the Ticats defense wasn't that strong. I'm not sure where they got their degrees as far as previewing, how a defense plays. But that Lawrence is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He had a big QB sack in that game. And again, I really want to see Manziel when we're out there on the 19th.
Yeah.
But, Andy, I just don't see how he's going to get on the field unless there's an injury at the quarterback position.
That's what it's going to take. We're not going to see Manziel for quite a while. I'll dismiss the trade talks right now. Anybody who says, is it time for Hamilton to start, fielding trade? No, they're not going to trade Johnny. You look at what's happening around the league. You need a second quarterback ready to go. Jeremiah Masoli is a mobile quarterback who could get hurt at any time. I don't think there's a price high enough for them to take. I mean, they would need to get something that would have so much impact for this season that it made them feel like their Grey Cup chances just went through the roof, not just some draft picks and stuff. So that's just not going to happen. But yeah, Ray, the defense, a lot of people didn't think Jerry Glanville's defense and the way he plays things was really going to work with all that man defense and super aggressive up front. But the Bro Show's in town now. Their other corner is one of the better ones in the league, and it's working. That aggression is working.
It is. Good old Jerry Glanville.
Good old Jerry, yeah. Still kicking.
The only thing that I wish Jerry would do is go back to wearing a cowboy hat on the sidelines. That'd be fantastic.
I would love that, too. I wish Jerry Glanville wore a cowboy hat on the sidelines, and I wish June Jones would be out there on the sidelines wearing his golf shoes, which is no shoes.
No shoes.
Can you imagine out there, head coach barefoot?
That would be great.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great.
All right, a late one. BC went into Edmonton, and Edmonton whooped them pretty good, 41-22. Did you even get a chance to look at this one?
I watched the TSN highlight package on this game, and listen, after Edmonton got spanked by Hamilton at home in week 2, you had to know they were going to bounce back against the BC Lions, and Mike Riley takes care of business in this one. He did have a couple interceptions, but he threw for 3 touchdowns and 73.3 passing completion.
Yeah.
C.J. Gable. How about your buddy C.J. Gable?
Finally. He was named the Offensive Player of the Week. Finally, he had a resurgence. He was really, really close to falling off my list of my guys, but he totally redeemed himself in this one and was amazing. Jonathan Jennings for BC didn't quite have that mojo he had when he played. I mean, it was Montreal, right?
Yeah.
So he's picking up some stuff, some yards on the ground, but not nearly as much. They contained him. He threw a pick. He was around 50% completion percentage. I mean, he's just not that guy. But just yet. But I'm not writing him off as a legit starter for the year. Edmonton's not easy. That's not an easy defense to play. So.
Yeah.
But that was another late game, of course. So I did catch some of that one, but not a great deal of it, just like yourself. And then finally in this one was amazing. Before this game between Montreal and Saskatchewan, I was talking to our buddy Ray Perkin, and I said, listen, man, Chris Jones is kind of losing his mind. He's so hard-headed. What are they doing? The plan, again, is Deron Carter playing only on defense. And by the way, spoiler alert, that's the plan again this week, which I can't even believe. So
I just don't get it. Yeah. I don't know what they're thinking putting this guy on defense. Yeah. He's hard. 2 weeks in a row we've seen this guy get burned bad.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
So I said to Ray, is there anything that could possibly awake Chris Jones more than losing to Montreal at home? Well, apparently not, because he lost to Montreal at home 23-17, and the plan is still Deron Carter playing only defense. Brandon Bridge looked horrible. Absolutely horrible. But they pulled him way too early. They pulled him after the first half. They didn't have anything viable behind him. Listen, for the next 4 games, I think it is, before Caleros can come back, this is your hope. This is your guy, and you need to figure out if he can be your quarterback of the future or not. And pulling him after one half of bad football to put in this Watford guy or whatever his name is, I just thought that was a mistake. They need to give Air Canada a bit more time to figure out what he's doing out there, but, man, it didn't look good.
It didn't look good at all.
No. All right, well, listen, Ray, now that week was in the books, you and I released our power rankings this morning. Yep. So let me give a quick recap super fast. On my list, I have Calgary staying at the top. I can't justify moving them down because, they're still undefeated, and they beat the Ticats. They beat some pretty good teams, so I couldn't justify it. Hamilton moving up from 5 to number 2 on my list, though, was an absolutely no-brainer. And like I said, I think they have the current MOP. Edmonton stays at number 3 for me. Winnipeg stays at number 4 despite going to 1 and 2, mainly because of the dumpster fire happening on the second half of this list. Yeah. Ottawa dropped from 2 all the way to 5 for me. That performance was really a sobering experience. That first week really got me excited, and that second week brought me back quickly. But I couldn't justify dropping them further than 5. BC actually moved up from 7 to 6. Toronto moved up from 8 to 7. And Montreal, after their first win, moved up from 9 to 8, all because there is no way that I was putting the Saskatchewan Roughriders anybody but number 9 on my list. Now, on your list, Ray, and I'll ask, so here's where we differed. Right at the top spot, you put Hamilton.
I put Hamilton.
Talk to me about that.
So I had Hamilton in 4th place last week. But when I look at what's going on in Hamilton right now, this team, there's no team that is playing better offensively and defensively. They're getting the coaching. They've got everything really working in Hamilton right now. And yes, they lost week 1 against Calgary, but it's week 1. Mm-hmm. Nobody puts any stock in week 1. That's why there's no power rankings in week 1.
Sure.
So I am all in on Hamilton being the number 1 seeded team in this league right now. If Hamilton was hosting or in Calgary this week, I think you'd see a much different game than you saw in week 1 by your Ticats.
Fair enough, and I think you're right about that as well. Now, Calgary is 3-0 despite Bo Levi Mitchell kind of having a down season so far, so I fully expect him to return to regular season Bo, which is very dominant, but yeah. I get it. So you had you had Stampeders at number 2. You have Edmonton moving from 4 up to 3 with their victory. Ottawa, you had number 1 last week. You dropped them to 4, so you sobered up a little bit on this.
All right, hold on here. Hold on. I must have sent you the wrong order.
Uh-oh.
My bad. Because, yes, I have Calgary at number 2. All right. They did beat Ottawa. Mm-hmm. And I allowed Calgary to stay in number 2 at this point.
Yeah.
But I actually have Ottawa still in number 3.
Oh, well, then you did send me the wrong list.
I sent you the wrong list.
All right.
I had Ottawa in number 3, still because I think when you look at the lineups on paper, and you've heard me say this to Trevor earlier,
yeah,
I don't think any team has a better offensive lineup than the Ottawa RedBlacks.
Okay.
So let's wait and see what happens there. I put Edmonton at 4.
Yep.
Listen, they're only at 4 because of how bad they got beat by Hamilton at home.
Yeah, that's fair.
I haven't forgot about that. And let's be honest. You expected them to win in week 3, especially against BC. All right, if they didn't win against BC, they would have been even further down.
Yeah, for sure.
Winnipeg, they're safe at 5,
mm-hmm.
right? I wouldn't say they're in the basement teams, but they're on the edge.
Yeah,
they're at the door.
Strevler's been figured out, so he has 2 ways to go here. It's a fork in the road. Does he get figured out even more, or does he figure it out even more? Right.
I'm giving BC Lions. I put them in at 6. They bumped up a spot for me from the previous week. Montreal, I moved them from 9 to 7, and that's because of their win over the Rough Riders. And let's keep in mind, they won that in one of the toughest stadiums to play.
It's true.
With the loudest crowd there is going.
Yeah.
And they won that game. Ottawa, I've got at 8.
That's Toronto, you mean?
Sorry. Toronto, I got at 8.
Yep. And
listen, I just don't know what to expect from Toronto right now. They've got Franklin playing this week.
Yeah.
With Ricky Ray getting hurt, and let's face it, Argo fans, I told you up front, Ricky Ray should never have come back this season. Retire as a Grey Cup champion.
Yeah.
Now you've got to watch the last play you ever played in your career getting taken off the field on a cart. That's embarrassing. You shouldn't have come back.
Well, we're speculating on that, but
it's his last play. He won't be back. Number 9, Saskatchewan Roughriders, and that's simply because eventually Montreal was going to lose. Eventually Montreal was going to win.
Yeah. They
had to win sooner or later, and the Gang Green, you guys came a week at home against the Montreal Alouettes. You're in the basement for that loss.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got to agree with you. Now, James Franklin forever was considered the best starting quarterback in the CFL that wasn't starting. So let's see if he can live up to that a little bit. I have my
How many
doubts.
times have we heard that phrase?
Yeah.
Right? Like, take golf, for example. How many times have you heard Ricky Fowler's the best golfer to have never won a major?
Sure. Yeah,
You-
and then
like,
someone else takes it over,
I
right?
hate that phrase. I hate that phrase.
Fair enough.
Prove it.
All right, let's talk fantasy, Ray. Now, you and I have not been doing good this season at all. I had an amazing week, except for one thing. Remember my funny little experiment? I decided to try to I took Brandon Bridge, and he actually, I think he accounted for 0.2 points or something along those lines. But otherwise, I actually had a really good week everywhere else. Ray Perkin, who is, I think, 30th overall in Canada in fantasy right now, is still leading the way, 349.1 points.
Listen, he worked on the sideline. He knows these guys inside out. Yeah. He's got inside information. He knows he's talking to wide receivers and running backs, and he knows the playbook before the week. He knows who to go. That's the problem with Ray Perkin.
All right. Well, and the new podcast down in Halifax, the Atlantic Zone coverage, he's doing well at 320 points. We have Hot Shots Buddy from out west at 290.3. And then we have Hot Shot at 278.4. He is holding on to a 0.1 point lead over me at 278.3.
Wow.
And then below we have you at 266.2.
Hey, I'm there.
You're there. Jeannie's having a struggle lately, but she's going to bounce back as well.
She'll bounce back, guys.
Why don't you tell me about your team this week?
So I'm going back. You know what? I tried something different myself last week. I'm going back to the money train. I got number 7, Trevor Harris, as my starting quarterback. I'm going to see if CJ Gable can run the table for me again.
Yep.
I love Mercier Timmis.
Yep.
Down at the goal lines. He was getting down there. How can you not take Brandon Banks? I mean, this guy is unbelievable. And him and Mazzoli have a great connection together.
And if Deron Carter's covering him, jeez.
He's going to score 4 touchdowns
Forget
this week.
about it, yeah.
Dante Spencer, I wanted Ellingson, but for the money side, I had to go with Spencer.
Yep.
I picked up Trey Mason from Saskatchewan, and I got the RedBlacks defense starting.
Nice. So it's RedBlacks heavy. So listen.
RedBlacks heavy this week.
Well, listen, no funny little experiments for Andy this week either.
No.
All right. So I'm going with an absolute no-brainer must start at the money against Saskatchewan and Jeremiah Masoli, the hottest quarterback in the entire league, about to face the biggest dumpster fire of a defense in the entire league. How do you not do it? As much as I wanted to go CJ Gable, Ray, I'm going to take James Wilder Jr. here, who I think is going to be relied on big time with Franklin making his start to run the ball a lot.
I thought about that too. The only problem is Edmonton's going to have 8 or 9 guys down in that box area. Yeah. It's going to be tough for him to find yardage.
I needed to do it for the money to work out. Unfortunately, spending big for the quarterback. The other running back in Hamilton this week. Instead of I had Timmis last week. Now, what are the odds that he runs for 2 touchdowns again and gets almost no yards? This Thomas Erlington, I think he has a hyphenated last name and I can't even remember what it is, but he had 100 yards last week. He was only $3,000. Had to do it. So I went with this guy, Brandon
Hawks is his
Hawks, Arlington Hawks. Awesome, yeah. Brandon Banks, absolutely. I don't even know if they're going to be. You know what? I keep saying I don't know if Saskatchewan's going to be crazy enough to have Deron Carter cover him, but why wouldn't they be? Brad Sinopoli. So I got a RedBlack here.
Yeah.
Duke Williams as my flex, and I'm taking the Hamilton defense against Brandon Bridge because man. I have no faith in Brandon Bridge right now.
That's a great pick. Yeah. Great pick, the Ticats. My mouse was over the Ticats, but I went RedBlacks all the way.
Awesome. You want to call us since you had kind of a rough go last week.
1-3, but you know what? I have been picking against the Ticats every week because I've been hoping for Johnny Manziel. Yep. I'm putting that strategy away, Andy.
That's not strategy. That was buffoonery.
Buffoonery, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
in my mind, it was strategy to see Johnny money when we go to Hamilton. But I am going with my first pick this week. I'm taking the Hamilton Ticats over the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
All right, I know you're trying to jump ahead of me here, so I don't give the standings, but I'm doing it. So number 1, Adam Hotshot is at 10-2 on the season, followed by myself at 9-3. Ray's horrible week brought him to 500 at 6-6, which I believe, I got to talk to Jeannie B. She's not here tonight, but I believe she went 2-2, which means you guys would be tied.
Tied. All right.
Tied. All right, you got Hamilton.
So
you got Hamilton taking out Saskatchewan on the road.
Yep.
I do too, Ray. Let me ask you one quick question about the game, though. Do you think Jeremiah Masoli goes for over 300 again and ties the record?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I sure hope so. My fantasy team hopes so as well. Ottawa at Montreal. This is an 8:30 Atlantic start for us, Ray, which means we will make it to the second half, and it will not be the next day, which is super awesome. Who do you got here? Do I even need to ask?
Ottawa.
Yeah.
Ottawa.
Montreal's got some momentum, but not enough for this guy to pick them after that wonderful phone call with Trevor Harris. That guy's locked in. I'm going Ottawa win on the road. Edmonton strolling into Toronto, Ray. What do you got?
I got with Toronto's quarterback situation, I'm taking Edmonton all the way.
Fair enough.
I'm going 4-4 this week. Just saying.
Yeah. Now it's a bit of a travel from Edmonton to Toronto. I don't know that that's going to factor in enough, though. I have to take Edmonton here again, though. I will not be surprised if Toronto pulls this off. And then the Saturday night game that starts at 9:30 Atlantic time, which isn't terrible. We got BC visiting Winnipeg. What do you think? Does Trevor figure it out or get figured out more?
I think they pull a Edmonton Eskimos and figure it out against the BC Lions.
All right. So
I got Winnipeg to win.
All right. Well, here I'm gonna give you an opportunity to catch me a little bit here, because I think that Strevler is going to struggle a little bit more, and BC is going to shock us on the road. And the Lions are going to win this game against Winnipeg. You want to know how good I feel about that?
How good?
Not good.
Not good.
But I'm calling it anyways.
Call it. I mean, I gave up a lot of bogus picks for you guys, so it's good to see you throw one back my way.
Yeah, do you want me to make it as bogus as yours and call a score here? I'm
going
to say, so BC's going to win this one 117-1.
Whoa.
Yes, sir.
That's a big score.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm trying to follow your buffoonery.
There you go. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
Well, that's our show for this week, guys. Man, it was great to talk to Trevor, and can't wait to meet him on the 20th. He said we should meet up for coffee.
He said we should meet up for coffee.
He's more than welcome to have coffee, but I'm going to need a little something else, I think.
I want to ask you this. Who's footing the bill? Are we going to pay Trevor Harris's bill, or is he picking up ours?
Well, we're definitely going to pay Trevor Harris's bill, and then we have to figure out who's going to pay between you and I. And I think the bigger RedBlacks fan picks up the bill.
Nice.
So that's on you, bud.
All right.
Well, guys, enjoy week 4 of the CFL. Should be awesome. And Ray and I are going to enjoy our fantasy squads, probably following.
Have a great week, guys.